We're dropping the injectors and away we go. Right now we're injecting manure on Mike Benjamin's farm, and the benefits outweigh the costs when it comes to any of this manure stuff. Nutrients get into the soil and not in the atmosphere. Of course, it deadens the smell too, and everybody loves that. It also saves us a lot of step in getting our crops in too, because we do what they call vertical tilling. We're not moving the soil over, we're injecting the soil and come in with no-till corn planters and plant the corn. And so we're not moving soils for the erosion purposes. It stays in place. It's a lot. There's a lot of benefits with all this system here. We get that from Paul Stanley. He does the nutrients, and he does all the testing of the manure, and he sets up our management plan so we know what to put on the soil, how many gallons per acre is how we determine what we're doing, and he formulates all that for us.
They take soil samples and they determine the nutrients in the soil, and therefore you make up the lack of nutrients you make up with so much manure. And it's different for every field. They vary a little bit depending on the type of soil and what's grown and how much you get off of it and how long it's been corn. There's a lot of variable factors. The weather is a big factor. The more it rains, the more your nutrients leach. The manure pit is 3.6 million gallons, which is approximately 10 months storage for our dairy farm.
This frac tank is a lifesaver for me. So we put it in a neutral position somewhere that's good for us to load and unload for the trucks. So that's part of it. The next thing is that I go and I determine my target level, if I want 8,000 gallons or 6,000 gallons per acre. It does all kinds of stuff. It'll tell me my production rate. It tells me the gallons per acre and the amount of gallons that I put in a field. Right now we're at 400,000 gallons out here on a 50-acre field. My productivity says I have 2.5 acres left in this field to do. And your operating time, how many hours you've been in a certain field. The distance I've traveled, acres completed, average speed. The first year when I was doing it, I wanted to walk. I couldn't get all this new technology to work for me, old school as I am, and I really struggled with it. I really did. But now I wouldn't do it without it. It's such a tool. I know exactly what's going on back there by watching my gauge all the time. I can tell when I'm putting on. If something's wrong back there, it instantly will let me know. Keeps me in line. I know where I'm spreading because of the charts. Give you a bigger screen. I can go to different screens. This tells me what I've left. Those are some springs that we went around. It's just simply amazing, and it's a lot smarter than I'll ever be. I want to tell you it may be a little better because the nutrients are getting in the ground. I want to tell you that, but Mother Nature plays the real role, is how well the corn really does. But we're seeing, I think, a more even rate in how the corn across the field is. It's not spotty as much. I think the corn's more even. I believe I'm going to lend that to the injection part because it's putting in the ground more even. It's not on top where it can run into a pocket or get away and run down into a ditch. It's in the soil, and we're seeing a lot more even cornfields. So this is how we load out of the frac tank. Wireless remote to a set of solenoids on the frac tank, and like I was saying, it only takes a couple of minutes to load this 6,200 gallon tank. So if the distance isn't very far traveling from where you're spreading back to your tank and you load and go, you can do probably 45 acres a day depending on the travel distance, and also the application rate. If you're putting on heavier than 6,000 to 8,000 gallons, it takes a little longer, using more loads per acre, that's all.
You have to fertilize to make the crops grow. and we have to do something with our manure.
So if we don't have good crops, it's a lot of money spent for nothing, and bad crops, there's sick cows. We have to have our nutrients up in order to produce good feed, and good feed is healthy cows, and that's all there is to that. There's a whole lot more than that, but a lot of fields get too much phosphorus, so we have to back off some of that. That's probably one of the big contributors to the water that people are concerned over, and as a steward of the land, the farmers are concerned also, because it's our job to take care of that, and this is all part of it too. So we go, it's a lot different than it used to be. Back in the day, we just got rid of it as a waste product, and now we're using it as a nutrient value. So when it comes down to the science end of it, we have to rely on people like Paul Stanley once again to do his job correctly, and for us to follow his rules. So we're using a waste product to grow good crops, to have healthy cows. So it's a continuous cycle, a good cycle.
And 30 years ago, there was no injection. There was you spread pretty much all winter long. There was no winter spread ban, and now we inject our manure, a lot of it, and we get more nutrients out of the manure because they aren't as volatile and they don't go up in the air as much, and there's not as much runoff. Therefore, you should be able to put on less commercial fertilizer. We inject all of our corn. This is I believe our 5th or 6th year, and we've done a little injecting around the Carmine watershed with the injectors they bought us, and it seems to be a win-win for everybody.